I'm not a big believer in that because the truth is everything that's amazing about you, like the stunning things that are about you, has an amazing part and a not so amazing part, right? Facebook forever was move fast and break things, and for a certain audience that was great, but you couldn't say, yeah, we're move fast and break things, but we work at a nice slow pace. We're at a very relaxed pace. It's not very chaotic. You can't say that. How can you say we're going north and south at the same time? You pick a direction, that's who you are. So to me, this idea of never say anything bad is wrong. It's misguided. It's flattening the picture you're trying to kind of portray. If you say we're all about support, for example, and you tell all these amazing stories about how you support each other, you should also kind of give a little indication that, hey, being supportive means we aren't quite as fast-paced as some places might be. Or it can be a little frustrating when you have a good idea, but you realize you have to get a lot of consensus in to get that done, to get everybody on board to make it happen. That's just the culture. That's just how that organization works. So every strength is its own weakness. And in fact, what's really interesting is that if you talk about the weakness, you're actually proving the strength. Every company wants to say, we care about our people. Like every company says. Sorry, let me rephrase. Every company not named Goldman Sachs wants to say how much they care about their people. And I love to make fun of Goldman Sachs because they ain't scared of me at all. And nor should they be. But, if you're going to say it, what does that mean? What is the other side of it? And if you can't tell me that the downside of caring about your people is, I don't believe you. You sound like yet another. You sound like just, hey, I opened a book of nice things to say about companies and I randomly picked one like Scrabble tiles and hey, we care about each other. If you tell me we care about each other, and sometimes that makes for some complicated relationships at work because suddenly what happens when you start to care about each other? Well, you become friends outside the office and you have relationships, and sometimes you have relationships outside the office, and that gets complicated. And if you kind of go, la, 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 I don't know, it sounds like you're just saying we care about each other and we support each other because it's a nice thing to say. But if you say, look, it's a funny story. It was really interesting when the CFO and the head of product management started dating. That's a story. Like, that's a story that says, okay, that's how much we collaborate because we're cross-pollinating, we're talking to each other, we're engaging. These are people who would never be in the same room together outside of an all-hands, right? And suddenly you're saying, wait, they interacted so much and they worked together side by side, and you talk about the pros and cons, and hey, it was a bumpy road, and for a while it was kind of rough and it was complicated, and talk
And would
about
you
that.
have the employees tell that story, or would someone else tell that particular story you're talking about?
You'd want to tell that story in a very anonymized way. You wouldn't say my CFO and the blah, blah, blah. You'd really kind of blank that stuff out. But you can talk about the idea of, look, this is a place where relationships happen, and we mean relationships in every conceivable way. We mean best friends happen here, romantic relationships happen here. And when you understand that and you don't see that as a problem, but as simply an outcome of working together really, really well, you learn to kind of work with it. And that sounds like a terrifying thing to talk about. Like every comms person who heard me was like, fire everybody, it's all over. Just, eject, eject, eject.